This is the Following On podcast. I'm Andrew Mckenna. I'll be joined by the former West Indies Philo Wallace and the former Ireland international Cath Dalton as we look back at England's 3-wicket victory over the West Indies as they go 3-0 up and seal this T20 international series. We'll be discussing a first series win away from home in over 2 years in this format of the game. We'll be hearing from some of those involved and discuss whether it was even safe to play this fixture due to the ground conditions. Plenty to come over the next 15 minutes or so then. This is Following On. So England make it 3 out of 3. This time a 3-wicket win as they chase down 146. They did that 7 wickets down with 4 balls to spare. The West Indies put into bat after Josh Buttler won the toss, posted 145 for 8, which was a major recovery after being 37 for 5. England getting there, as I say, with 4 balls to spare. Sam Curran top scoring with 41, Liam Livingstone making 39 and Will Jacks 32. Cath Dalton, from an England point of view, a very good day's work. They'll be slightly disappointed that the West Indies ended up posting them 145 for 8, bearing in mind, as I say, they were 37 for 5, but other than that, everything else went pretty darn well.
I think so, and you know, you look at England's power play, particularly their bowling power play, with Archer bowling fantastically well, although he didn't get the figures that showed that, and Mahmood bowling 3 for 17, which was absolutely fantastic. But then there was a bit of a dip, wasn't there, where their spinners came on and we saw West Indies just get back into the game with Powell and Shepherd, with that very vital partnership at the back end towards the middle overs towards the back end of the game, and that started to feel like England suddenly went on the back foot suddenly. So a tricky pitch, not ideal conditions in terms of the outfield, but yeah, if you get over the line, that's pretty pleasing from an England perspective.
Philo, let's actually just lay it out as well in terms of the conditions that Cath just mentioned there. We had a delayed start because there was some rain in St Lucia today, but actually the problem has been the last 2 or 3 days. There's been a lot come down, and you could see by the way that the players were moving in the early parts of the proceedings of this game, it was still very soft, very wet. Was this game safe to play when we started?
Yes.
You were happy with that?
The problem with the outfield is on the boundary's edge. The fielders were like maybe 5-10 meters in. There's no wetness in the playing area. That 30-yard circle is dry. The edges of the field are the problem. West Indies lost the game not because of the outfield. West Indies lost the game because of how they approached the power play. 37 for 5 and your 5 top batters in the hutch is going to cause problems for the next 6 batters. And that is where they lost the game. They did not lose this game because of a wet outfield.
But all I'm thinking is, for anyone who wasn't with the live coverage, just before around the time the toss happened, it's been confirmed by England that Reece Topley is going to be on the plane home with the knee problem that he picked up. I'm just a little bit surprised because, look, I know you're talking about it being the boundary, but we're talking about T20 cricket. A lot of cricket is played on the boundary edge.
Andrew, we look for too many excuses. Cricket was played, they have a match referee and they have officials there who would say if it was unfit. I believe if it was unfit, Josh Buttler would say they're not playing. Ralph McPaul would say the same thing. Yes, the player's safety is paramount. I agree with that. But the outfield in St Lucia was not that bad that this third T20 game could not take place. It take place. It was a T20 game. West Indies batted first and only got to 145 because they lost 5 wickets in the power play. The 5 wickets they lost in the power play has nothing to do with the outfield. And we're dealing with cricket. We look for excuses all the time and we want to pamper players. These players don't need pampering. They're officials. What happened, professionals? What happened to Reece Topley in Barbados was unfortunate. That is a one-off. Shepherd went off holding his groin. He came back out. It happens. It is cricket. It is not tiddlywinks. These are big men and they encounter all kinds of conditions. And they have to play once the umpires say play. If that outfield was unfit for play, no cricket would have played. It was fit enough to play. West Indies did not execute well in their power play, and they end up losing the series 3-0. They have 2 more to play, and then you will hear the captain saying we're playing for pride. Pride is a flower in Barbados, so a lot of people don't eat bread now. So I don't know what they're going to go there and do something special over the weekend.
In the 2 previous games in this series, Cath, the West Indies had lost 3 wickets in the power play. Today they upped the ante, losing 5. England bowled pretty well in the early stages, but it wasn't a 5-wicket power play, was it really?
No, I don't think so. We had the early run out as well, which doesn't help when you're trying to set the tone in the power play. And I think Powell said it before the start of this game that this was the area that they needed to improve on. You know, it's massively disappointing when your top 4 just aren't firing at all. And it's been 3 games now. It's not like just a one-off T20 international and they haven't fired. This is 3 games in. And I'm just wondering who's going to stand up. Somebody's always stood up for England, normally in the top 4. And they just haven't had that. And that's massively disappointing. That's putting so much pressure on your lower order, who aren't meant to face that many deliveries, let's be honest. If you're an all-rounder in the West Indies, you're strapping the pads on far too early. And this is the area that they really need to improve on. I know we spoke about their bowling and the fact that maybe they haven't had their plans right, maybe they were a bowler short. But the guys in the top 4 for the West Indies are serious players, and they should be scoring more runs than they are.
In terms of this England group, it's obviously quite young. Bethel, Mosley, Rayan Ahmed is still relatively young in international terms. So for them to come to the Caribbean, win 3 out of 3, their first T20 series away win in over 2 years, and there's still 2 more games with, therefore, power to add. I imagine Marcus Trescothick and Jos Buttler are sitting there this evening thinking, this probably couldn't have gone a great deal better, Cath, could it?
No, I don't think so. And I think it's important when you're breeding new players into a team that the guys around them who have been there for a long time, your senior players, stand up. And Buttler did that in the second T20 international. And we've seen Archer leading the attack really well. And it just takes the pressure off those players. And if you have those senior figures that are doing well, when you're coming into a squad, you suddenly feel at ease because you're winning games of cricket. Life seems just a little bit easier. When it's the opposite and your senior players aren't performing and aren't doing well, then suddenly you're under pressure. So I think this has been perfect for England in the sense of breeding these new guys into the team, and it can only get better for them from here.
In terms of the West Indies, Philo, they changed things up today with 3 changes in their team. Okay, they were injury related as well, partly, but they then changed up the approach. We've seen Akeal Hussain bowl the first over in the 2 previous games. He came on first change today. They tried going Romario Shepherd and Alzari Joseph, the 2 seamers there. So at least they tried something different today. It might not have worked out. You know, the worst thing would have been to stay with the same policy and then go 3-0 down and go, oh, if only we'd tried that. At least they tried something. It didn't work, but they tried it.
Yeah, at least they changed the bowling combinations today. And Akeal Hussain had shown that he can come back and bowl well. He took 4 wickets, bowled 4 overs for 20 runs. So it shows that he can bowl in those middle overs or even at the tail end of the innings and still pick up wickets. My problem is that, obviously, Shamar Springer has just come into the side and Matthew Ford is injured. Shepherd is struggling a little bit with his groin. So we went with Shepherd and Alzari Joseph, but they bowled 1 over apiece. I thought they would have given them maybe another 1 or 2 to really push the English batters back, but that did not happen. Powell just mixed up 1-1-1 and then went for the kill in the middle overs. But at least there is hope to see that Akeal Hussain don't have to bowl the first over. There is other bowlers, or there are other bowlers who can do that. My problem is that you need to have the necessary firepower, particularly in those middle overs, to get wickets. Roshan Chase has only bowled 2 overs, and he's normally very potent in the middle. Maybe he doesn't have the confidence, or the captain doesn't have the confidence in him, or tonight because of the wet ball. But he did not bowl his 4 overs. He only bowled 2 overs. So again, just a little tinkering to see how best we can get it right. Obviously, Terrence Hines struggled. Will he play on Saturday? I won't play him on Saturday. If once Ford is fit, he will come back in. He will add that dimensional swing in the ball. So there's some light at the end of the tunnel. But you don't want to go back to the drawing board you need to be kicking on from here. If you look at England and they're introduced new players and they show maturity, I think all players now have to start to show maturity and take responsibility for their game. It's not about blaming outfield ball. You're a professional. You deal with the conditions that are presented to you, and you do your best as possible. We don't mind losing, but you want to lose with a fight.
Absolutely. So the series is done and dusted. England 3-0 up, 2 to play. Those 2 games are this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. They will be 8 o'clock first ball, both of those. So on talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, we will be with you at 7:30 in the evening for the toss to build you up to the action and then to bring you that action. Can England go 5-0 in this series, or are the West Indies going to fight back? You will find out on Saturday evening, as I say, here on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel and on talkSPORT 2.